Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kelsey Kiesling.
And I'm Kendra Cook. Dolores County Broadcasting Network is the producer of DCTV, and the Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news show.
If you have a news topic or tips you'd like to see covered, give us a call. The studio number is 677-4119.
Today's show is live on Tuesday at noon and rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired on Friday at noon, 3 and 6. Today is October 24th, 2017, and now the news at noon. From the Cortez Journal, last Friday, Cortez Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee members toured the land they hope to turn into a new Gear Natural Area trail next year. Keith Evans, who owned much of the Gear and Carpenter Natural areas, plans to sell the city 50 acres of his property to be used for a new trail around the park's perimeter. Evans said a new trail could make Gear more friendly to hikers and give all users a more direct route across the park. Parks and Recreation Director Dean Palmquist said the city has tentatively budgeted about $50,000 for the purchase in 2018. Evans said the different people who regularly visit Gear, primarily hikers, dog walkers, and bikers, have different needs when it comes to trail routes. Walkers in particular, he said, have approached him asking for a quicker path through the park. Right now, if you obey the rules of the park and stay on the trail and don't cut, you're locked into going several miles of windy, twisty trail to get to the other side. He said the new trail could also make it easier for visitors with different interests to share the park. Palmquist reported that after the advisory committee gave permission to the Montezuma County Sheriff's mounted patrol officers to use the park in September, some people complained the horses were tearing up the plant life by straying from their designated routes. He said he has spoken to the deputies about the problem. In the future, Evans said he hopes the new trail will be a better alternative for the mounted patrol as well as any other equestrian visitors who might come to the park. In order for the trail to be completed next year, though, Evans said the city will need to do some work on the land. Several fences around the park's perimeter are several yards away from Evans' surveyed property line, so they need to be moved to reflect the park's actual boundaries. He also suggested the city put up signs to mark where the new trail begins and ends. Evans showed the advisory committee members his planned route for the trail, which would go around the northern and eastern boundaries of the park. The land is part of a conservation easement he was granted in 2016 in cooperation with the Montezuma Land Conservancy, and it includes the newly opened third entrance to Gear near North Mildred Road. Palmquist said the Land Conservancy will pay Evans for some of the land's value when he sells it to the city so that it won't put too great a strain on the town budget.
According to the Durango Herald, a 19-year-old accused of stabbing his two young siblings to death and wounding his father in Colorado told investigators he carried out the attack so he could be alone in the house, documents say. Officers called to the home early last Tuesday and found the 5-year-old girl and 7-year-old boy, along with the father of all three siblings, police spokesman Lieutenant Howard Black said. Officers tried to save the children, who later died at a hospital. The father, Jefferson Murphy, was in serious but stable condition after he was stabbed, Black said. Malik Vincent Murphy was arrested on suspicion of 2 counts of first-degree murder. It was not clear if he had a lawyer. An arrest affidavit says the teenager bought a knife several months ago with the plan of killing his entire family and burying the bodies in the backyard. The father told investigators that the teen had previously talked about killing the family. Malik Murphy had been arrested in Illinois in March and accused of setting fire to his parents' sport utility vehicle. The parents told authorities that Murphy had severe mental health problems and they did not want him to be prosecuted in the fire. Effingham County State's Attorney Brian Kibler told WXEF-FM. Kibler said authorities agreed to dismiss the case if the teen got treatment. Kibler did not return a call Tuesday seeking comment.
Reported in the Journal from Cortez, Crow Canyon Archaeological Center cultural specialist Dan Simplicio joined the National Park Service and tribal officials last week to welcome a delegation of officials from Peru to Mesa Verde National Park to discuss cultural resource management in the Southwest. The delegation from Peru visited Mesa Verde last Thursday as they toured national parks and historic sites across the U.S. to learn how science conducted inside parks informs the park's conservation and tourism policies. In addition, the group is studying the role played by descendant communities in studying and protecting cultural and natural resources within park boundaries, Crow Canyon said in a news release. Simplicio, a member of Zuni Pueblo in New Mexico, was joined by Peter Pino from New Mexico's Zia Pueblo to discuss the relationship between federal agencies like the National Park Service and the modern Pueblo communities descended from the people who lived in the Mesa Verde region some 800 years ago. They also discussed the many difficult challenges and unique opportunities for growth in that relationship. The Peruvian delegation met with officials in Washington, D.C. earlier this month and has since toured a variety of local, state, and federal protected areas across the nation. The delegation will use what they have learned on their tour to inform their decisions regarding management of Peru's world-renowned cultural sites like Machu Picchu and the Nazca Lines.
According to the Durango Herald, police are searching for a man suspected of robbing the Subway sandwich shop last Thursday night on Florida Road in northeast Durango. The robbery occurred at 10:19 p.m. at 1537 Florida Road near Bread Bakery and Star Liquors. A man entered the shop, asked for money, and left the store, said Commander Bob Bremer of the Durango Police Department. He wore a mask and gloves and was armed with a handgun. It was unknown if he had a getaway vehicle. We have very limited information at this point because they were masked up, he said. We don't have much of a suspect description at all. Police are aware of only one suspect, but it's possible he had accomplices. Anyone with information is asked to call the dispatch at 385-2900.
What's the beef about NAFTA? Reported by the Denver Post. Many negative opinions remain about NAFTA, but if the North American Free Trade Agreement ends, it could potentially mean a very big chill on one of Colorado's biggest industries, beef. Today, Colorado beef producers enjoy duty-free, unlimited access to Canada and Mexico, the state's top trade partners. The Colorado Cattlemen's Association estimates Colorado sells a combined $380 million in beef to the two countries each year. If NAFTA goes away, trade between the U.S. and its North American neighbors could revert to rules maintained by the World Trade Organization, said Joe Schul, spokesperson for the Denver-based U.S. Meat Export Federation. Under those rules, Canada assesses a 26.5% tariff on all beef imports. Mexico assesses a 20% tariff on chilled beef and a 25% tariff on frozen beef. Doing the math on just the $171 million in beef the Cattlemen's Association estimates Colorado sends to Canada each year, tariffs could add around $45.3 million in costs to access that market alone. And that's not even considering any additional administrative costs. Of course, the U.S. could also apply tariffs of its own on goods from its NAFTA partners. Beef imports from those countries could face duties of anywhere from 13.5% to 26.4%, which could help boost domestic sales. As talks continue on what Trump calls the worst trade deal in history, American officials say they want to reduce trade deficits and eliminate unfair advantages possessed by Canada and Mexico. With the talks between the three countries now expected to continue through March of 2018, which many view as signaling the end of the 1984 deal, businesses and consumers are left to speculate about the future of NAFTA and the integrated North American economy that has evolved in its wake. 1 in 5 jobs in Colorado is tied to international trade, that according to Karen Gerwitz, president and CEO of the World Trade Center Denver. In 2016, Colorado sent $1.07 billion in goods to Mexico and imported $1.57 billion. Canada took in $1.36 billion in Colorado exports and sold $2.76 billion in products here. Colorado's largest export in Canada and Mexico is meat, primarily beef, but including pork and other animal products, which those countries buying $293 million and $208 million worth from the state in 2016, respectively. Terry Frankhauser, Executive Vice President of the Cattlemen's Association, said even the threat of a 5-year sunset to NAFTA, which U.S. negotiators reportedly have proposed, could have a cataclysmic effect on the economy. Frankhauser and Gerwitz aren't opposed to renegotiation of NAFTA. Gerwitz noted cell phones weren't even in widespread use when the agreement was launched. Modernization and enhancement of the pact is both proper and necessary in her view, particularly when it comes to e-commerce. But both agreed doing no harm to NAFTA and keeping the agreement trilateral are paramount in renegotiating. Frankhauser pointed to the objectives outlined by the Office of United States Trade Representatives in July. They included eliminating non-tariff barriers that constrain U.S. agricultural exports and expanding competitive market opportunities for those goods, things Fankhauser supports. Nowhere in that document is the threat of leaving NAFTA mentioned, and that's the way it should be, he said. This past summer, Governor John Hickenlooper personally met with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. During that meeting, state officials say the governor expressed his interest in maintaining a strong cooperative relationship with the country. Those officials say the same sentiment applies to Mexico. This is not a zero-sum game. It's not necessarily we're in NAFTA or we're not, said Connor Murphy, diplomacy manager for the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade. He emphasized that what Colorado is doing is actively directing its own path toward successful business relationships.
Reported by the Durango Herald, Britain announced Monday it will give Canada the shipwrecks of British explorer John Franklin, who perished with his crew while trying to chart the Northwest Passage through the Arctic in the 1840s. The HMS Erebus and the HMS Terror were found in 2014 and 2016 about 30 miles apart near King William Island in the Canadian Arctic, some 1,200 miles northwest of Toronto. Under an agreement between the two countries, the wrecks were the property of Britain, although Canada had custody and control of them. The UK Ministry of Defence said Monday it would transfer ownership to Parks Canada, but retain a small sample of artifacts. British Defence Secretary Michael Fallon said the arrangement will ensure that these wrecks and artifacts are conserved for future generations. Franklin and 128 hand-picked men set out in 1845 to find the passage, a shortcut to Asia that supposedly ran from the Atlantic to the Pacific by way of the Arctic. All of them died, making the voyage the worst tragedy in the history of Arctic exploration. Historians believe the ships got trapped in thick ice in 1846, and Franklin and some other crew members died in the ensuing months. The survivors apparently abandoned the two ships in April 1848 in a hopeless bid to reach safety over land. Inuit lore tells of white men who were starving in the area as late as the winter of 1850. Dozens of searches by the British and Americans in the 1800s failed to locate the wrecks, and some of those expeditions ended up in tragedy too. The ships were among the most sought-after prizes in marine archaeology. Canada announced in 2008 that it would look for the ships and poured millions of dollars into the ultimately successful search. The Terror was discovered in 26 yards of water in Terror Bay, west of the community of Gyoha Haven, right where an Inuit hunter said it was. Canada's government said Monday it recognizes the invaluable contributions of Inuit in helping find the wrecks. Environment Minister Catherine McKenna said the ships would be co-owned with the local indigenous. There are no plans to raise the ships. And now here's our weather report.
Sunny and dry with winds markedly higher today, running 15 to 20 with gusts up to 35 is the forecast. And that sunny and dry will continue for the Four Corners area for the week. On the other hand, a Canadian cold front flowing in from the northwest down the eastern slope will be affecting the northwest part of the state by tomorrow. And at that time, we'll be driving cold and some activity across the tops of the divide all through the state. Any precipitation from that on Wednesday should stay east of a line from Hayden to Eagle to Gunnison. The northern and central mountains will possibly have a couple of inches of snow. This front is the precursor for bringing increased wind speeds and gusts to our area again on Thursday. Most of that front's energy will plow down the front range and into the plains through Friday. And so wind speed forecasts for Friday are likely to increase as well. In our national forecast, the low system consolidation promised over the Great Lakes area yesterday is well underway and spreading and tracking into southeast Canada. A strong cold front will trail southward from this low also and bring a swath of moderate to heavy rain along with thunderstorms toward the east coast by tonight. The heaviest rainfall is likely to be across southern Michigan and central New England. 1 to 3 inches of rainfall is expected. Some instances of flash flooding are possible for the far northeast. Across the continental U.S., fire weather concerns will continue across parts of California over the next few days. Very dry conditions and gusty winds are still expected. And the heat wave is on for Southern California, and those widespread 90s and 100s are expected today, with excessive heat warnings still in effect. Cool and dry conditions will prevail across the plains and the Intermountain West. The high for today is 66, with a steady tapering down to 55 by Friday and perhaps a 60-degree Saturday weekend boost. Lows will run from mid-30s down to freezing by Thursday night and hover near freezing through Saturday night. Windy and plenty for today and Thursday, with the potential for other wind increases. And now back to the news.
Reported by the Durango Herald, a dozen car tires were slashed early Tuesday in South Durango. Police and victims said someone used a knife to slice the sidewalls of 12 car tires sometime between 11:30 p.m. Monday and 7 a.m. Tuesday. The cars were located in the 300 block of East 3rd Avenue and in the East 300 blocks of 4th and 5th Streets, said Commander Ray Shoup, spokesman with the Durango Police Department. The rear driver's side tire was cut in each case, said Andrea Dalla, one of the victims. Shoup said it seems like a random act of vandalism that would constitute felony criminal mischief. Police had no clues as of Tuesday afternoon. We are looking for anyone with any information or anyone who might have had a camera set up that was facing the street, Shoup said. Anyone with information can call J.J. Roundzone with the police department at 375-4777, extension 8177.
In this week's climate-related news, economic surprise is the subject. One article read was delving into the vineyards in Nova Scotia. I always pictured it as that cold, windy island for fisher people off the northeast coast, somehow related to Canada. Warming conditions have led to likely increases of winemaking there. The grapes grow well. Elsewhere in Forbes magazine, Nate Trella contributed this. The Mitchell Gold Deposit in northern British Columbia is the largest ever found in Canada. Rudy Franck, CEO of gold explorer Seabridge Gold, said you couldn't see it until the glacier receded. It took 3 decades and 3 kilometers of melting until it revealed what was underneath. Warming is helping to make some of the multi-million-ounce gold deposits once trapped under glaciers and permafrost in or near northern Canada into some of the most attractive mining targets in North America. According to industry executives and bankers, big gold is facing production cliffs that many think will require acquisitions of large deposits. And increasingly, they seem willing to chase frozen assets in northwestern British Columbia, the Yukon, and Nunavut that were once considered unreachable or undesirable. They're moving in the northwest instead of similar-sized deposits in politically riskier locations. The Mitchell deposit is part of Seabridge's KSM project, one of the largest undeveloped opportunities in the world, estimated to contain 39 million ounces of gold and 10 billion pounds of copper, with the potential for more than 50 years of mine life. The big companies need new assets, Franck said, from the sidelines of a recent Denver Gold Forum in Colorado Springs, Colorado. The majors are running on fumes. They need big profits, capital-efficient projects, and projects in safe jurisdictions. Some weeks ago, we did a piece on Antarctic shipping routes and fishing issues. Money-making and buying and selling go on for the big guys at least, and yet still we wonder what next. As we have disasters here and profit-making there, how long will it take before some way or another the books are balanced or the best laid plans of mice and men?
Reported by the Durango Herald, a 40-acre tract on the southern border of the Shenandoah subdivision has been pulled from an oil and gas lease sale that is slated for March, according to a spokesman with the Bureau of Land Management. The sale of the parcel, which is on BLM land, drew public backlash earlier this month when Shenandoah residents said the agency did not properly notify them of the sale or a public comment period. The potential development of the land, which sits on vacant land just south of the luxury home subdivision about 8 miles southwest of Durango, also drew concern over noise, traffic, and general health risks associated with nearby oil and gas development. For a parcel to go up for an oil and gas lease sale, it has to be nominated by an interested buyer. The BLM, however, does not disclose the name of interested buyers. Public opposition sparked the BLM on October 10th to contact the interested buyer who nominated the parcel in 2011 to see if they still had any interest in developing the area for oil and gas. The Durango Herald on October 11th, one day after the public comment period ended, requested public comments submitted to BLM regarding the oil and gas lease sale. The BLM denied the request until after a protest period in December. An 80-acre tract on private property off County Road 120 in Hay Gulch will still go up for sale in March. The sale of that parcel was embraced by the landowner when contacted the first week of October. La Plata County Commissioners on Tuesday are expected to send a letter to the BLM requesting the BLM defer the two parcels in the county due to the inability to adequately mitigate the anticipated impacts of their development. It was unclear late Monday how the withdrawal from the parcel near Shenandoah will affect the drafting of the letter.
From the Durango Herald, add another resort to James Coleman's Mountain Capital Partners collection of ski mountains. Earlier this month, plans were announced that Flagstaff's Arizona Snow Bowl will purchase Elk Ridge Ski Area, a 37-acre ski area south of Williams, Arizona, with a summit elevation of 8,150 feet. The sale is pending a U.S. Forest Service approval of a special use permit. James Coleman, managing partner of Mountain Capital Partners, which owns Arizona Snow Bowl as well as Purgatory Resort north of Durango, said in a prepared statement, Elk Ridge offers unique opportunities to partner with the community to provide more outdoor recreation to residents and guests. Elk Ridge Ski Area was founded in the early 1960s, according to a news release, and is known locally for providing low-cost skiing for beginners and families. Upon purchase, old surface lifts will be replaced, and year-round activities will be expanded. Owners hope expanding recreational opportunities at Elk Ridge Ski Area will take pressure off of Arizona Snow Bowl. If a special use permit is approved by the Kaibab National Forest, the plan is to open Elk Ridge as soon as possible under the current operating plan until proposed updates can receive appropriate environmental review and approval. Kim Euler, spokeswoman for Purgatory Resort, said once a permit is approved, plans for winter operations at Elk Ridge, as well as any possible past benefits, will be announced. Elk Ridge has been open very little in the past, and the forest would like to see that change so that more visitors are able to take advantage of winter recreation opportunities in the Williams area, Kaibab National Forest Supervisor Heather Provincio said in a prepared statement. We look forward to seeing the permit proposal, which we hope will demonstrate the ability to sustainably offer safe and positive snow play opportunities for the public at Elk Ridge. Mountain Capital Partners now operates Arizona Snow Bowl, Purgatory Resort, and Hesper Ski Area, both in Colorado, and Sipapu Ski and Summer Resort and Pajarito Mountain Ski Area, both in New Mexico.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of October 16th through the 22nd. An early morning fire, which started in a detached shed, damaged the owner's home, but the fire was extinguished by the Dove Creek Volunteer Fire Department before consuming the in-town residents. Several reports of a vehicle in a ravine just south of Lizard Head Pass were relayed to the sheriff's office. The driver was fine and was arranging for his own tow after speaking with the Colorado State Patrol. A small herd of cows found their way onto Highway 491 near Cross Canyon. The owner was contacted by dispatch, and he, a state patrol officer, and a deputy drove them home. A call for a possible search and rescue was aborted when the missing hiker walked back into camp near midnight. A deputy was called to assist with a family. A resident motorist reported a large amount of debris on the highway, appearing to be retreads from a semi. An officer responded, cleared the debris, and checked on the welfare of the truck driver. That's it for today's roundup. Stay tuned for continued updates.
Today's High Canyon Country happenings. October 28th, Fall Fest Silent Auction is hosted by the Lighthouse Christian Academy from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Louis Areola Community Center. Free tickets will get you into the auction and give you an opportunity to win a door prize. Proceeds support Lighthouse Christian Academy, a K-12 school. There'll be live music, refreshments, and great items up for auction. Also, October 28th, the Devil's Dram will be performing Celtic bluegrass music on Saturday night, starting at 6 p.m., going to 9 p.m. at the Mancus Brewing Company. They are a Celtic fusion band mixing traditional and non-traditional instruments with standard and original songs. And later today, Tuesday, October 24th, at 5:30 p.m., we welcome you to tune in to Talk Tuesday Live with special guest Amber Anderson, who will be promoting the health-based town hall meeting in Dove Creek on November 1st from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Dove Creek Community Center. A panel of experts will be at the event to discuss marketplace coverage, Medicare, Health First Colorado, and answer any questions you might have. If you missed the live interview tonight, don't worry, it'll be rebroadcast throughout the week nightly at 5:30 and uploaded on YouTube and on our Facebook page. Looking forward to learning about the Community Health Clinic's expertise in this important area of healthcare. All of the happenings are posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replays, weather and original stories, and local posts. To share your event or information, contact us. It's dcbnnews@gmail.com or call us at the station. Again, the number is 677-4119, and we'll be sure to get your news on air.
Thanks for tuning in. News at Noon airs live at noon Monday through Wednesday and then is rebroadcast at 3 and 6 p.m. and again re-aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 3, and 6.
And be sure to check us out on Facebook. It's DCTV News at Noon. Please like us there and share it with a friend.
For Kendra Cook and Jerry Tope with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. Thanks for watching.